Boy, oh boy, did we have a weekend. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to click this thing, my shoo over here. All right. So I'm Abby Haggard. This is my office. Mom looks a little discombobulated because I just unpacked her and brought her back. And the reason I had her packed and gone is because this Sunday was our Fanaticon event, our first wave of getting people to sign up, get their pictures taken, to be in this crazy book idea that I had. There's an opportunity in every possible thing that's weird or crazy or confusing. You can't see it while you're in it spinning. But when you step back and you say to yourself, you know what? You know what that is? Because from a distance, you can see the things surrounding it. You can see the other dots. You can see that if you put it together a little bit, it's like a puzzle, and you can solve something. So the cumulative effect of all these fabulous people that I now know because I'm doing these videos, and because I created a group on Facebook called We Are the Unforgettables. That's the thing. That name is the trigger, is the hook. And then I met these other amazing people who have this brilliant group. It's called 70s and 80s Memory Lane. And they have thousands and thousands and thousands of members. And I've connected to them because we have so much in common. And I was saying, I'm going to actually be talking to Paul later, right after the video. We have so much in common. I want you guys to be part of this book idea. And the book idea is this. A book is a tangible souvenir of a moment shared if it's a picture book. Well, I can just have pictures on my phone. Yes, you can. But you can also have a book that is a real tangible thing. You can point to your friends and say, go on Amazon. See that book? See that book there that's for sale? I'm in it. And you know who I'm on the same page with? This person. No. Yes. Did you meet them? Yes. Oh my God. When did you meet them? At the book launch. Really? Yes. It's a way of connecting. It's huge. And I'm going to talk about the underlying hugeness of it in a second. First of all, sip of warm morning beverage. Oh, yeah. Secondly, just as a heads up, there might be a knock at the door, and I might startle like a grouse in a hedge, because they painted the hallways in my lovely little nest, and they're coming around today to see if they missed a spot on the front doors of our apartments. So they'll be knocking and coming and so if they do that, I'm not being broken into, but I just heads up. The other thing I want to say before I get into what's going on today, my voice is a little hoarse, a little scratchy from the weekend, is I want to thank all the new people. I'm getting these notices. I'm getting these notices mostly from LinkedIn. So the LinkedIn machine is really, really kicking in. And I'm getting hellos and how are yous, and this was fascinating comments from the new people in the LinkedIn groups that I am. Once I do this, I go and I copy and share this post, this lovely ABCAST. I share it in different groups in LinkedIn because we're all in business. Business is personal, personal is business. And so this way, people are getting to check it out and then say, oh, that's interesting. And then reaching out and saying, so tell me more, which is how things happen. So the conversation today is, how do we know we're doing it right? Right? How do we know we're on the right path? Because I got to tell you, we have no limit on people who go out of their way to tell us when we're not. We have endless people who really, really want to tell us how many ways we're making mistakes, reaching down to us from a great height. You know, that's not the way it's done. And here's the thing. unless it's some kind of math or some kind of physics, there's always more than one way. And not everything that is different is wrong, right? So another sip. See if I can get rid of this thing. Okay. I've told a story a couple of times, and it bears repeating because I find so when I tell a story, that's the show part, and then I do the description or the simple win, and that's the tell part, show and tell, and that's how we learn everything as a child, all from our youngest years. Somebody shows us, we watch it, we try to copy it, and somebody tells us what the steps are so that we can take ownership. We're not just copying them. We understand how it works, then we can copy them, but then add our own little moment, right? So when I was a kid, really young, I eventually was considered old enough to go and have a sleepover at somebody's house. And when I'm an only child, and we moved a lot, military, so I didn't have a lot of friends who we knew well enough. The parents knew each other well enough that I would go over and have a sleepover or spend a day. So I came back. They I guess they brought me home or whatever it was. I don't remember. And I came home, and my parents said, "So how was it?" And the big thing that was at the top of my list of memorable, think about this. Lots of things I eventually over the day or the week said, "Oh, and we did this," right? As it comes back. But the big thing I said, they squeezed their toothpaste the wrong way. So obviously, when I got up in the morning, right, and we went to brush our teeth, and I'm in the bathroom with the little friend, and she picks up the toothpaste tube, she squeezed it differently. And I didn't say anything because I was really shy, but clearly it was a moment for me. It was a moment because what's that? So when I came home, and then my parents sort of blinked, and then they kind of smiled at me, and one of them, I don't remember, said, "Explain how do they do it?" And I showed them. I told them, and they said, "So it's just different." It's wrong. It's different. We do it this way, and they do it that way, but both are good. Did she get the toothpaste out? Yeah. Then it wasn't wrong. Oh, so different isn't necessarily wrong. I didn't say interesting. How clever I must think about this. I don't know, 5, 4, whatever. But I've never forgotten. Clearly, I have never forgotten that I did not understand, and then suddenly I did. That there's more than one way to be right. And then this phenomenon that we see, there was a great episode of The Odd Couple. Oscar and Felix, Oscar and Felix somehow end up going on a cruise ship. And the activities director goes up to Felix and says, "I'd like to appoint you as assistant event registrar. Here's a clipboard, here's a hat, here's a whistle." And Felix felt that he had died and gone to heaven. And within 3, 2, 1 seconds, he was all over the ship, blowing the whistle, talking to people, getting their names on a clipboard, irritating the living daylights out of many of them, but getting the signups. Oscar, at that moment when Felix got up and he was all excited and rushed off, Oscar said, "Do you know that you've created a monster?" And the director of activities said, "No, what I've done is I've created a very, very loyal ally." Because he is not on the outside looking in, critiquing. He is on the inside, looking out, collaborating. And the work he's going to put in, and the effort he's going to make, and the energy he's going to wind up saves me a whole lot of time and trouble. And I don't have to listen to him telling me how I'm doing it wrong. And Oscar had some, moment of thundering aha, large, sly smile. And I've clearly never forgotten that either. So the Karen phenomenon, and I forget what the male name is. Somebody at one point said it was Chad, although I know a couple of lovely Chads. But the concept that the formerly bossy little child who established dominance by being in charge and getting like sheepdogs, right? Herding all the sheep, getting them all organized in a controlled environment. Their need to feel safe is their control issue, right? That's what that's all about. So if you give them a tool, if you give them a purpose that validates without like letting them loose on the world, but validates their need of chocolate ice cream, validates their need to be of value, be recognized, be seen and heard. Give them a small thing, just a small thing. We just need you for the signups. We don't need anything more than that yet, but we will get there. All right, Felix ran off to get the signups. He didn't run off to reinvent the game or to get them all uniforms. He just got the signups. And there's like, 5,000 people on the ship. He was good for at least a couple hours. That got Felix out of Oscar's hair. It got him out of the hair of everybody trying to organize all the things on the ship. And by the way, it helped the coordinator. So when we look at an exercise like that, what we are seeing is a masterful coordinator, organizer, leader who knows how to, something just happened there, connected to Can we hear me? No, everything's fine. Everything seems to be fine. For someone who's watching and not commenting, can you make a comment that you can see and hear me? Because I just saw a thing that looked weird. Okay, so I need a tech assistant in here. Anyway, the idea, how do we know that it's right? How do we know that what we're doing is right? First of all, we don't have to listen to every single person who has an opinion on how we're doing it wrong and how they would do it if it was theirs to own, because there's never any shortage of them. How we know we're doing it right is actually remarkably simple. Hang on a second. When we have an opportunity to do something, pick anything. I want to get an idea of, okay. I have now done FanaticCon 7 times. I've done 5 in Ottawa, 6 in Ottawa, and I've done 1 in Brockville. This year was the year I got it right. This year, thanks to 2 additions to everything I've done before, those last 2 additions filled the empty spaces and brought everything together in a nice, simple, effective click. And I had not known they were missing until I had time to think about the event this year. And when I had the time, I thought, oh, you know what? But I had to get it less than perfect so that people showed me what was difficult, what was not quite the right fit. And I'm thinking, when you cook something and you're tasting it, you're thinking it's missing something. and you examine what the things are that, and you think, I wonder, well, I always like to add pepper to this, and this is in it, so maybe just a little bit of pepper and see if that makes a difference, or I like to add this, or sometimes I do that. And you rethink what the plan was, because typically when we're making something, we're trying to multitask. We're thinking about too many things. So it's after an event, in the aftermath, not the immediate exhaustion right after necessarily. Sometimes it's right in the middle of the event. You think, write it down. Because if you don't write it down, just stamp it on your wrist. If you don't write it down, it'll be gone. Every time something is easy, every time something flows toward you, every time you take that first step, that first action, that first sip or taste, that first small turn, and you pause and you say, oh yeah, that's better. Oh yeah, that's better. Oh yeah, that's better. You're doing it right for you, for it, for this moment. If you're excited and there's a knot in your stomach and you're doing it and there's an adrenaline rush, that's not right. That's edgy. That's scary. That's adrenaline, cortisol. It feels really cool, but it's not right because you can't maintain it. You can't repeat it exactly because it doesn't actually fit. The challenge, the excitement, the scariness is that you are doing it anyway, even though it doesn't fit. When somebody invites us to do something and we say, sure, and there's a slight hesitation, and then the longer we think about it and we say, okay, what would my other option be? Is this what I really want to do? If it weren't for the people who are there that I like, would I go there and do that? Would I wear that? Would I eat that? Am I just going along to be part of the group? Because I'm just going along to be part of the group and I love the group, then it's really the group and not the thing. But if you don't like the thing on its own terms, on its own legs, in its own moment, it's not right for you. The group has a certain appeal, a certain draw, but it doesn't necessarily mean this time you should do it. I got invited to go to a lunch once, many years ago. Abby, are you coming to lunch? Well, lunch? Where are we having lunch? Everyone, all the girls from the office, we're all going for lunch. And I said yes, because where we were going sounded like a good idea, even though I didn't really want to go and sit at a table with a dozen women. I can't talk to 11 people. I can only talk to one or two. The rest of it is a lot of noise going on. And I'm a group animal. I'm a human. I'm a group animal, but I'm not really a group animal. I like to do it myself alongside, right? I went to the lunch and I saw a friend of mine who lived just up the street from me. And he came over and he said, come here, I want to talk to you. And I said, excuse me, girls. I went over and I said, what's up? He said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm having lunch. I'm having lunch. He said, no, with this weird look on your face. I saw from across the room. Why are you with, something's wrong here. And I said, well, I'm not really a group person. He said, okay. So would you like to be extricated? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Watch this. So he linked arms with me and he said, who's in charge? And I said, and he went over and he said, ladies, and he put his other hand on the shoulder, just on the shoulder of the one. Ladies, I'm going to have to borrow Abby. I'm so-and-so. I live just up the street, but I've got something that's happened and I need to talk to her. So I'm hijacking her. And everybody said, oh, okay. And we walked away. And I said, thank you. And he said, you always need to have in your life somebody, that somebody who gets you, who can look at you in context and say, she's not in a good place, and come and get you. Because it's difficult to say, I've changed my mind, I don't want to do this, because there's a lot of peer pressure. And I said, that's brilliant. Thank you. And I remembered that too, right? So how you know you're doing it right is that it feels automatic. It feels inevitable. It feels logical. And it also feels like, it doesn't feel like, if you're chasing it, you're doing it wrong. If you're rushing into it in desperation, saying, we got to do it, I got to have a chocolate ice cream, I need a chocolate ice cream. That's not doing it right. That's not doing it right. It doesn't mean it's doing it wrong. There's always a door number 3. And now I'm going to tell you what it is. And you are going to smile all over your face. I heard somebody say this the other day, and I said, yep, that's going to be a signature question. Imagine, if you will, that you are a machine. You are a transformer. You can be anything you want. You are a machine. You are incredible. You are powerful. Here's the question. Are you a self-start? Or are you a push start? Do you self-engage? Or do you wait for the order? Do you wait for the instruction? Is it internal or is it external? Are you a self-start or a push start? Do you initiate or do you respond? Do you feel the automatic, intuitive push? Or are you brought into by something else? Why does that matter? It matters because we are standalone entities. We live within and among, but we are the ones who decide that we get up in the morning, that we wake up, that we feel hunger, that we want to brush our teeth, that we're tired of wearing that and we're going to wear this. That it may be a long day, a difficult day, a challenge bigger than we had expected, but we have chosen it, and we are now going to seize that day by the throat and run like we stole it. Or are we going to wait for our marching orders? And 9 times out of 10, when we make the decision, either unconsciously or consciously, to say, I'm not only showing up, I'm leaning in. I'm looking at this opportunity And I'm not saying pick me. I'm saying this is mine today. This is mine. I chose it. I own it. I'm in it. I'm here not only to play, not merely to stay. I'm here to win. Whatever my little benchmark is. When we feel that way, and we've all been there, every single one of us has been there, and every single one of us knows the difference. Every one of us knows the difference. When we feel those things, we not merely want, I was about to say it incorrectly, wrong. I was about to say it in an awkward way. It's not that we crave it or that we want it or feel we need it or gotta have it. Those are reaching and begging and hoping for. No, when it's right, how we feel is, I am this. I am happy. I don't want to be, or hope you make me, or can't wait to be. I am. I am this thing. I embody it. I'm walking around in it. It's inside. I got it, and I'm going to share it. Are we self-start, or are we push start? Do we say to ourselves, I need to be here? Or do we say, I am here? I am here. This is me. I was having, in the midst of all of our massive running around for the last 3 days, Gary and I were having conversations about the way we show up. And I had said, he was saying, I did this, and then I was thinking, well, that was probably not the smartest idea. However, in the moment, it felt great. And I said, I read a thing recently, and I sort of looked at it and I thought, yeah, I have to kind of go away and process that. But I said, this thing that I read, it was this. If it happened, it was supposed to. Period. Good, bad, beautiful, rotten, inappropriate, perfect, whatever. If it happened, it was supposed to. All the conversations that we have about what might have been, and if only, and can you imagine what it would have been like if this didn't or that did, is a waste of time. It's a stall. Why? Because it could never have happened, because it didn't. Anything that could have happened, legitimately could have happened, did. The rest of it is speculation. The rest of it is stepping outside of here we are to walk over there and waste our mental energy and our emotional energy wondering about something that isn't. Now, inventors, innovators, rebel thinkers often spend time thinking about what isn't, but they don't think about it because it isn't. They look at the thing that is inefficient. And they say to themselves, if I just did that, that would work better. How is that different in what I've just said? If it happened, it was supposed to. Why are you thinking of something that isn't? Because the thing that you're looking at, you realize that it's wobbly. Okay, it was supposed to be wobbly. If it was supposed to be wobbly, why was it supposed to be wobbly? Because it was going to trigger my idea to make it less wobbly. It was my signal. This needs that. I am self-starting. We, on the weekend, on Sunday, I have no idea how many people came to the booth. Couldn't begin to tell you. Some of them wanted to be in the book, and they posed for that picture. Others just wanted to talk and see us again, have a second look at the merch they saw last year, just get a regular picture with the boas and my kids, and oh my God, do you have any of those wristbands left? And you see, honey, I told you I knew a Care Bear. They just wanted to be in our space. And I'm not saying our like I'm royalty, because our booth is a team effort. It's a collected body of people navigating and pushing things into position so that we have a clear path. And every single person who came to our booth came with a smile of anticipation or wonder and curiosity. Every single person who left our booth had a spring in their step that wasn't there before. Why? Because we have fun. Our purpose is to bring the experience of nostalgia alive. Every single thing that we did, anytime it was a break, I would grab Gary Raish and Ellen Bond, my photographers, and we would go on a a reconnoiter. We would go. One time we went around to all the different booths, all the different vendors. And I said, can I get a picture with you? Can I get a picture with you? Can I get a picture with you? And it was always, yes, yes, of course, of course. And then I'm in there and what are you doing? Oh my gosh, this is amazing. There's a picture. It's great. There was a TV show for kids many years ago called The Big Comfy Couch. So they had the couch. The couch was the size of a Buick. It comes in pieces. They put it together. And the two actors who were on the show were there. So I went by before they had you pay this and you get your picture on the couch. They were just doing autographs as themselves, side by each in the booth. And I went over and I said, hey guys, Mom, you can't do that. And they're going, oh my God. And I said, can I just winkle in and get a picture with the two of you in the booth? They said, yeah. Meanwhile, there's these people lined up for pictures. And I said, sorry, I'll just be a second. And I scooted on in and I had wings and I'm trying to, and I'm in with them. And the three of us are in the booth and we've got this great picture. And I said, when are we doing the couch? And she said, 45 minutes. All right. So I came back. They had this long line of people. And when she saw me coming, she said, guys, it's the mom from You Can't Do That. We just need her for a second. She's not cutting the line. We promised her. So I winkled in, sat down. The three of us are there. This is ridiculous couch picture. Boom. And I'm gone. And I thanked everybody as I left. Thanked them, hugged them. But then I thanked everybody for being understanding. Because what I did on purpose twice with them was cross-pollinate. You can't do that on television with the big comfy couch. And it had never been done before. And by extension, the Care Bears with the big comfy couch, and Teddy Ruxpin with the big comfy couch, and For Better or For Worse with the big comfy couch, and Dennis the Menace with the big comfy couch, because I appeared on all of those shows. And now I'm part of the big comfy couch. And this is how we build community. And this is how we make it right. We're not meant to be nuclear family. We're not meant to be isolated and cut off from each other. We're not meant to be separate and apart. Our village used to be a village And now the only place we call home is inside the building where we live, unless we go out of our way to make ourselves feel part of the neighborhood and in connection with the people who run the shops and the people who drive the transportation and the people who live down the street, and gradually become recognized as part of this community, this city, this neighborhood, this village. It's harder to do it because we spend all this time trying to be part of this village, as I'm doing today. The difference is I'm anchoring all of you here. It's not a virtual background. I'm not pretending to be in Oz or a galaxy far, far away. This is my office. This is my home. I'm inviting you into my home. I'm inviting myself into your space, whether your space watching me is on your phone or on your computer, on YouTube, whichever platform. When I invited people to be in my book, we're celebrating the concept of together we are the unforgettables. We make it work together. Good morning, Freddie. Nice to see you. We are in this together. Nostalgia is the glue. Gosh, remember the time. If right now, by my clock, it says it's almost 10:35, just 10 past 10:35, Eastern New York time, Standard Time. Whatever time it is, wherever you are, this is now. 5 minutes ago is nostalgia. And we were in it together. Remember the time? Yes. That's the glue. So this book, We Are the Unforgettables, we're going to do the launch in November. And here's what I want to talk to you about. Because how do you make it right? How do you do a book the right way? I'm a publisher now this year. The reason I'm doing the book, it's my 20th anniversary as a publisher. And I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people don't know. There is no wrong way to do a book. There is no wrong way. There is no single right way to do a book. There are as many ways to do a book as there are people who want to read it. If we have visually impaired people, then doing a book in Braille is neither correct or incorrect. It's helpful and appropriate. If for children who still have trouble reading, for dyslexic people with some kind of capacity issue they have to rise above, then a drawing book, a picture book is more helpful. It's not righter or wronger than just words. It's different. How do we know we've got it right? Because we can feel it on the inside. When something happens to us that is cataclysmic, shattering, I had a brief conversation yesterday with an amazing person. This amazing person has brought so many communities together, so many hundreds of thousands of people together, effortlessly, seamlessly, day after day after day, year after year after year, decade after decade, effortlessly. Everyone looks forward to saying, hey, I loved what you did. They crave the opportunity to connect, to be able to say, why? Because people like this extraordinary friend of mine build who we're supposed to be, reinforce how we're supposed to feel, which is connected, valued, seen, heard, fulfilled, and most importantly, safe. This amazing friend of mine hit a wall. Actually, he didn't hit a wall. The wall came full force. Wham! And this incredible person hit the ground hard, hard. And I said, here, let me help you out. He said, I need a minute. I said, yeah, I know. So let me help you out. You all right? Solid? He said, yeah, but I need a minute. I said, I know. Now let's go sit down and have a minute. Have as many minutes as you need. But it's easier to have the minute sitting. It's easier to have the minute if you let me help you. Take your time. I'll circle back. Why? Because for me, it's all selfish for me. I'm not Mother Teresa. For me, it feels amazing to be part of the rebound, to be part of the recalibration, to be part of the reset. Why? A, because I'm a Viking, and B, and by the way, the number of times they had to recalibrate and reset and refocus and row. Because pivotry in motion, the decision to say, not good enough. There, I'm doing that. This is mine. That is not good enough. I'm not going to live in it. I'm not going to sit in it. I'm not going to give away my power to it to keep talking about it. If I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to talk about how I stepped back, turned away, and stepped up on my terms. Why? Because it's my life. You do you. I'm walking here. I'm doing me. And when it feels like, yep, this is working. This is working. Then in terms of did I get it right or did I get it wrong, it kind of doesn't matter. It feels like the direction. It feels, I was talking to Gary Swinburne. He had to put together a package of information. And so I was helping him organize it and everything. I said, I want to show you something because it was a good package. And I said, back in college, after you wrote an essay, you would pick it up and you'd weigh it. You say, that feels like an A. He looks at me, what is wrong with you? Then I was waiting while he was delivering the package. And the person said, oh my God, this is incredible. Oh my God, look at what you did. Is this all mine? Yeah. Wow, thank you. He turns and looks at me and I'm going, told you. So this is what happened on the weekend that I need to explain to you. Sunday was step one. All the days leading up to it, all the orchestration, all the thing. And oh, by the way, if you're on Facebook, you need to get on Facebook. All of you lovely people who are on all the other things, you need to get on Facebook and friend me, or just look at my Facebook page, Abby Hagyard. Because I'm going to be posting pictures from the event on Sunday that will blow you away. Massive fun. And what I want you to see is how effortless it looks, how delicious it looks. Why? Because it was. And B, because all the expressions on everyone's faces reinforce it. It was right for them in their moment. And it was right for me in mine. That effortlessly fun, colorful, crazy little booth took us 2.5 hours to set up. You put everything out, and then you take away all the things that don't look like a horse. Michelangelo rule of sculpting. And what we ended up with was something that was, oh, hey, that's really cool. What we end up with always is an interactive moment. People don't walk by the booth. There isn't a barrier, a table separating me, us from them. It's completely open. And if you want to talk to me, you got to come in the booth. You got to walk across that invisible line, walk into the booth. We have our admins on either side to sign up or pay for stuff, but it's an open booth. And the minute you cross that invisible line, you're part of the show. You're co-starring with me. We're all wearing feather boas. We have paparazzi. We're getting our pictures taken. We're having a great time. Why? Because that feels like an A to me. That feels right. It feels easy. It feels comfortable. It feels fun. Non-fattening, no cavities. It feels exactly the way it's meant to be. Could I imagine the booth and the day unfolding any other way? No. Why? Because it unfolded the way it was meant to. If it was meant to unfold a different way, it would have. So how do you know it's right? How do you know you're doing it right? Because while you're doing it, it feels natural. It feels easy. It feels spontaneous. It feels whatever word you want to put on that. Sometimes there are moments of exhilaration. Sometimes there are moments of crazy laughter. Those moments of the high peaks and the explosions of the unexpected live inside the, this is great. I suddenly realized that my knees and my feet were feeling a bit odd. And I said, I think I'm going to get up. You get up and I'm going to sit down for a second. Oh, yes, of course, Anne. I sat down. I sat down and I said, yes, that was the thing I needed to be doing. Ow. But I was busy and I was having fun and I didn't notice that my feet were saying, yo, anytime. And then when I sat down, my feet said, thank you. And then we all went for dinner. At the very last minute, I looked at Gary and I said, we were going to get people food. He said, oh, keys, gone, see ya, goes, comes back, breakfast. Also, this will be lunch, so that everybody could just deke around the side, have something, good, come back and be awesome again. Why? Because it's a day. It's a day. I'm asking people to be with me for a day. The least I can do is make sure they're fed and watered. And have you had your break? Gary was the one. Have you had your break? No? Go. I'll sit in. And he was the revolving other guy to make sure that everything just was in flow. Magic. How do you know it's right? Because it feels like this is the way. This is the way. This is how it's done. Walk this way. It feels like an A. And I'm not even remotely suggesting that A stands for Abby, but you know what? If it does for you, that's fine. If it feels like it's forced, if it feels risky, if you feel desperate, oh my God, it isn't right. If I just push it a little harder, and the reason I know that, the reason I absolutely know that is that I have done that. I did that for a business I desperately wanted. And there's the word. It should not be desperate. It should be loved. It should be perfection in our mind. Not if only, if only, if only, but in each moment, perfection in time, every single moment. If it isn't, it's forced, it's artificial. We are trying too hard, and that's the sign. When I tried too hard, my business not only failed, it hit the wall. You know, if you listen closely, you can still hear the echo of how hard it hit. It cost me so much. It didn't cost me everything. I'm still here. It cost me so much to learn that lesson. Even though I learned it very, very clearly at the time, I have still been gifted opportunities to see myself in the process of just about doing it again. And I've said, oops, oops, oops. And what I'm talking to you about is all part of this beautiful, beautiful idea that tapped me on the shoulder. It's almost 7 years ago now. That we need to talk. We are ready to talk. We can feel a little emptiness, a little void that tells us we're ready to talk. We're ready to collaborate. We're ready to get together. We're ready to build our small village together to reinforce our feeling of, I belong. This is me, I belong. I am part of. I am essential. This is the campaign that I began, and I called it Pivotry in Motion. A pivot is a hard turn. You can't make that turn. You can't realize that you are ready to make that turn until you know in your head and your heart that the direction you're on is not your direction. You're squeezing into a pair of shoes that don't fit. You're pretzelizing yourself into a role, a container, a goal that doesn't even remotely suit you. And you're doing it, we're doing it, to feel like we belong, to give back, to not be tossed out of the cave where the saber-toothed whatnuts are, and they're hungry because it's their lunchtime. We're sacrificing who we are to save ourselves from who we might be. And that's backwards. We already are who we might be. We always have been who we might be. What we're doing in this moment, in this process, in Pivotry in Motion, is looking at the way we're doing it and saying, well, I don't need that. I don't need that. Pivotry in Motion is an exercise in applying the Michelangelo process of sculpting. You get a block of marble and a chisel, and you chip away everything that isn't who we are. And then you're left with the magnificence. And I've been planning this. Why? Well, I've said that it came to me during COVID. I've said that it was because of the way I saw people behaving in COVID. Not entirely 100%. I started it because I was living a life, a pattern, in a place, in a role that I had pretzeled myself into in order to survive. I had shut myself into a very small box, a very small container, a very small ship, because that was what I felt was how I had to compromise my real me in order to be free. Do you hear how silly that is? How incorrect that is? If I compromise me, I'm not free. I'm captive. And you know what happened? I'll tell you when it happened that I realized what I was doing. I have a very, very dear friend. He's a Norseman. He's a filmmaker. And Lars, if you're watching, I'm taking your name in vain. Lars Ellinglund said to me, and he's not the first person to have said it, it is a quote. However, when it's said by someone with that voice and that accent, it hits home. He said, there are times when a ship needs a safe harbor to make repairs. Never forget. However, that a harbor is not where a ship is meant to stay, because a ship is meant to be sailed. And to do that, it has to enter the flow and go. And I said, well, thank you, Viking. And he said, anytime, my Valkyrie, anytime. So together, thee and me, we're getting ready. We're getting ready to set sail. And I am gathering around me my sailors. I am gathering around me my adventurers. I'm gathering around me the people who are ready, who have said to themselves, wait, what's that? Huh. And then they've looked at what they're doing and where they are. And they're seeing why they're making these decisions. And they're saying, for the first time, not good enough. I deserve this. And now you're joining me. And that book shoot on Sunday was the first firm step down the dock to the ship. First firm step. And it was awesome. And Ellen and Gary and Peter, who were my paparazzi yesterday, are sending me all these pictures, and I'm going to be loading them and showing them. And then the key ones for the book, we're starting to do the layout, and we'll have the book launch in November. And it was yesterday that Gary and I came up with how the launch is going to look and probably where the launch is going to be. We know the timing. We're aiming for the 16th of November, a Sunday. I like book launches on Sundays, Sunday afternoons. So we're also, that is now we can see the port. We can see where we're heading, right? So it's exciting. And I wanted to share this with you in the aftermath of the weekend. And I want to say one last thing before I do my close, and it's this. If it doesn't feel right, if it feels off, if it feels like you're saying it's not that bad, I don't mind. No, I'm okay. Really? Is okay? Is fine? Is not that bad? Is that what you wanted to grow up to be? I interviewed a guy who was a recovering heroin addict for a book on survivors. And I said, when did it begin? And he said, I'll tell you a funny thing, nobody in the history of the world has ever said, when I grow up, I want to be a heroin addict. So what it is a series of small steps, small decisions. And each one we are aware of in the moment as we make it. We are aware that we're giving something away. But in the moment we say, you know what, it's not that bad, it's okay. We are the lions who are not holding our power. This always makes me tear up a little bit because I was that lion. When we don't hold our power, the jackals win. And I say to myself, I don't think so. Not anymore. Not today. And that's what I want for you. I want that for all of you to be able to say, not that anymore. This is me. This is who I am. And with Abby, in our village of unforgettables, this is mine today. It is the most beautiful, you can see what it's doing. It is the most beautiful sensation when you seize it and you say, yes, yes. It's easier to say no than yes because everything goes away. But we didn't come here for everything to go away. We came here to be. And that's what we're doing, thee and me. So I'm going to let you go. It's gone just a little over 11 o'clock. That's okay. Sometimes we need to do that. So you know the drill, right? Be good to you. You deserve it. And remember to hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. And I, in the midst of looking at all of the pictures and planning for the next step, we'll see you next time, this Thursday, same time. All right?